Good morning, everybody. This is Jillian. So, lately I've been talking about the brain because the other day I had an argument with somebody about the brain, and then also your healing process, what people are experiencing right now, being exposed to the COVID, the grid, all the different mass therapeutics. And so I wrote on Facebook yesterday about when you evolve, you actually experience different dimensions. Okay? No, don't mind my hair. It's pretty bad today. When I say you devolve, you experience different dimensions. I mean, let's look at the spirit world. It's probably the last dimension a person on earth would ever experience after they have left their meat suit. So this could explain why some people are more susceptible to the spirit world because of what they can access in their brain, their pineal gland, which is like a receptor to the universe. And they're on their way out the door. Okay? Because when you're talking to ghosts or when you're talking to different dimensions, like actually speaking, you don't really know who you're speaking to. I mean, some say they do, like they do ayahuasca so they can tap into those parts of the brain that they didn't have access to before on a conscious level. So when they're doing drugs, they get access to parts of their brain they don't really usually have access to because of the hormones, because hormones are an access to your brain, or access to different dimensions, actually. And so, yeah, so if someone says you're only using like a certain percentage of your brain, it means that you're only accessing a certain level of reality. And then when you devolve, you're going to be experiencing a painful reality of devolution. Okay? And so that is a dimension unto itself. Even though, yes, you may be here on earth, but when you're asleep, can you imagine the dreams of somebody who is devolving? Some of them are pretty scary. It's everything they probably imagined because of what they read in the waking world about what happens when you die, hell and heaven and all that stuff. So they say, oh, they've seen the light, they've seen Jesus, or they've seen their relatives. I mean, whatever is the most prominent within your biochemistry, within your hormones, is what you're probably going to see on your way out the door. And so that's why I've been experiencing such weird things as I'm evolving. Stuff that I haven't really experienced before. Okay? And that's usually during, like, right when I wake up, or right when I'm going, like, lucid dreaming. And then also just the things I experience when I'm, when I'm awake. Shuggy, stop that. No, don't do that. No. My dog right now is also experiencing some major stuff. No, do not do that. No. And so she's going through her evolution. And let me tell you, it's not fun. Evolution and de-evolution, it's not fun. It can be. We live to basically plateau. And then if we have to evolve, we'll evolve. But at least we know what to expect when we evolve. Sugar? No, sugar. Just lay down. I don't want her destroying stuff as she's trying to nest. Okay? And so that's what I said, that people live for the plateau, on their way up and on their way down. Because I'll tell you what, evolution is not fun. It's when you finally earn the evolution, when you plateau and you don't have that pain, but at least you're not taking a painkiller. At least you're not taking out organs, you're not taking out things. And so you've earned your pain-free existence, your plateau. And then when something new comes in the environment, then you have to go on the incline again, and that's like a hike. You enjoy when the switchbacks, have a certain plateau, and then you're like, oh man, when you go and hike again up a mountain, like I did Mount Whitney a long time ago, then you got to go and deal with the switchbacks again. And the switchbacks can be a pain in the ass. Up in sugar, stop it. Shuggy, oh my gosh. And so yeah, I get to watch my dog heal right now. It's pretty crazy. And she has a lot of predispositions. All pit bulls do. So if you have an animal, I sleep with my dog, okay, like in the bed. I feed her. I don't walk her a lot because we live in a crazy neighborhood, but she doesn't need walking that much. She goes out in the yard and she runs around and does her thing. I am with her 24 freaking 7, and she's going through different dimensions 24 freaking 7 right now. Every time the grid ticks up, or every time a new variance in the environment, both her and I feel it. Her pineal gland, all of her different rhythms, her sleeping rhythms, her peeing rhythms, her eating rhythms, they fluctuate every single time she has to evolve. Evolution for animals is hell, but it's not so hell that they do plateau, but then when they get exposed to another variant, then they have to go through another evolution. And that's what's going to be tough for those of you that have animals. Okay, maybe you have an animal that seems like they're okay, but then you put them on medication, they stay in this reality, they get cured in this reality, but they also are on the decline. So then watching your animal on the decline is hell. Okay? So the thing is, what's the most optimal way to be when you're doing the Jilly Juice and being in this world is you live with 7 billion people. The system bred so many people that when they're on their way up and when they're on their way down, everyone's going to have to deal with the hormonal fluctuations, the pineal gland antenna going off all the time, all the physical manifestations of evolving or devolving relative to where you are on that scale. And yeah, people are going to feel, like I already hear, like on my Facebook, the heart attacks and the strokes, and, the upticks in the cancer, disease, and chronic illness. I mean, it was just only this weekend on Sunday, Monday, that I felt something, my dog felt something, and someone posted on Facebook, not in my immediate circle, but somewhere outside of my immediate circle, but in my community, they're dealing with now heart issues. They're not on the J juice, but that's every time there's a new variant in the environment, someone who has predispositions are going to feel the new dimension that they're entering into, whether it's on the incline or on the decline. And then new personalities come out. People said they feel different when they've done the vaccine. They feel like they're a different person. I felt every single time I've been going through evolutions with new variants that I feel like a different person. Like I don't have really the patience anymore or have that kind of reaction for completely idiotic people. So I just don't even deal with people that don't agree with me, that right off at the gate, they're just wanting to debate. No patience for that. Because let me tell you, time is speeding up for those that are on the decline. Those on the incline, you got plenty of time ahead of you to deal with your predispositions and you know what to expect. But those on the decline already with diagnosable conditions, time is speeding up for them. And so if they want to argue with your information, you really do not want to expend their energy. You're actually saving them by not going back and forth, because the more that you dispute their reality, the more energy they use, the more they are declining. And so it's a quid pro quo when you actually do not deal with people who disagree with you. Not only are you saving yourself, but you're saving them too. They can't afford the arguments. You can afford to argue, but they can't. So you don't even bother. And hey, everyone's happy. Well, not really, but at least, you'll all be in your separate corners. And so, it's a trip. I just gave my editor, I just loved her to death. She's so amazing. She's not like an official editor. She's actually doing a kind thing by being more of a copy editor, making sure I have more grammatical sentence, more flow and everything. And I sent her 50 pages on why people die. Okay? 50 pages on why people die. It's a lot of freaking pages. And so in the process of me with all these discoveries and healing with my dog and myself, I'm trying to write and put it together a coherent sentence. And yesterday, it was hell trying to do that. It was hell because I do feel the changes in the environment. Every single time something new happens, I feel it. I feel tired. I feel a little bit irritable. And my dog feels it. I got to deal with how my dog feels. And so it's just, it's I'll tell you what, it's definitely like a boot camp. It's a boot camp where once you're done, you are so proud of yourself because you know how many obstacles were in your way. You know how difficult it was during that time. I mean, writing my other book, The Evolution of the Agility Protocol, when the COVID first came out, my dog was going through seizures and she was just dealing, and I'm just like, holy crap. And that's where the emergency recipe came out of, where you put maple syrup or fruit syrup in the recipe after it's done. So you have now a real, true, full electrolytes. The sugar, the glucose, the salts, the ferments, okay, the water, everything. And so, my dog is also getting that through her healing process. And that way she has a full spectrum of the electrolytes and then the food supply. Because her evolution in this environment, it's a trip. When you get a stray dog or a rescue dog, you don't know what kind of history is in them. And even with a person, you really don't know what kind of history you have within your genetics until you actually see it going through its evolutions or de-evolutions, being exposed to a virus, being exposed to therapeutics, being exposed or doing J-juice because you're trying to adapt. And so, yeah, it's very, very different. And so, I can't wait till the book is done so that way I could just focus on my animal and focus on my house, because I really need to do other things. But I am so committed to getting this book done that this is kind of like all that's consuming me, because that's my commitment to myself to finish something. Okay, so this is really more of a selfish venture for me to know that I actually can finish something. I actually can improve upon everything that I had an issue with. And then also you're going to reap the benefit, because now it's going to be something that's going to be in a very logical flow, that those that had never been introduced to MK Ultra, brain splitting, never been introduced to just all the different things like the Georgia Guidestones, maybe parts of the World Economic Forum. They'll be introduced to everything that you've ever talked about that you're like, oh my God, people are not waking up, they're not getting it, or whatever. And then you will actually see it being woven into the mainstream narrative. And then also thermodynamics and cell biology. And yes, what viruses do, what potentially vaccines can do on bodies that can't handle it. And then yes, also, the different dimensions, the history, prehistory, the whole starting of mankind, and all of that. I mean, you're going to get everything you ever got in school, with also Sitchin and Manly P. Hall's information. I'm not completely, if I have to reference them with an actual bibliography, I will. But I can logically, without even bringing in the Book of Enoch, plug in the holes of original sin, of Adam and Eve, the pre-Adamites, the alien intervention, and then all the biotechnology intervening, innovating people on like a decade, century basis. And yes, every 100 years there seems to be a reset. You know why? Because innovation does glitch on bodies, on generations that are overexploited. And right now, if you're reacting, you've been overexploited. That's why you have to stop presenting exploitation and start healing. Those that are right now are being caught up in the system and all of the different crap that they're wanting you to react to. That's an exemplification of exploitation. If you're an activist, you've been exploited. If you're reacting to anyone or anything out there as far as politics, religion, and science on some level, you've been exploited or exemplifying someone who's been exploited. Now it's time that you finally stop being a slave. Okay? Stop with the slave mentality of giving your life and your energy away to someone else who absolutely has no care about it whatsoever. All they want to do is take away what you have, your actual uniqueness, and use it for their benefit, and then throw you away when you're not useful anymore. Those days are gone with the J-juice. Now you exploit your own body, mind, and spirit at your own level and your own speed. And it's time that, that part of the world that's actually good, that isn't completely like super reptilian brained, that part of society is also showing itself. But then there's the reptilian brains that are also trying to take over as well. And so now it's like you have to balance out both. And that's what life is. It's balancing both the reptilian brain, the Pleiadian brain, and everything in between. And it's open up your pineal gland and not trying to synthetically, manually open up your hormones so you can experience a different dimension without earning it. Okay? Evolution is going through dimensions in your brain. When you're using all of your brain, now you have access to all the dimensions. Am I using all of my brain? I have no idea if I'm using all of my brain. I don't even know what the different dimensions are. I'm still probably evolving as we speak. I don't think anyone is completely there yet, because how do you know what there is? But at least you're on your way up. When you're on your way down, you already know that your meat suit's going to be gone. They're going to have a funeral for you, and maybe you're hanging around as a spirit here on Earth, stuck in a loop, or maybe you're off flying around being a Pleiadian because you have that much of the hormones that would give you a Pleiadian type of persona that then could help somebody on Earth evolve, because you can plug in where something is missing. Because that's the only way people really actually evolve in their dreams, is that something that was a missing piece in the universe was able to come down and be that missing piece. That's what I think the reptilian brain and the Pleiadian both. Reptilian is also a good part to have, because that will show people that you have boundaries. You're not afraid to go to war with someone if you had to. I would rather walk away. I don't want to war with anyone. But when backed in a corner and you have nothing else to do but fight, then you fucking fight. You don't let somebody overtake you. That's the reptilian side of you that is so important. It can't be all Pleiadian and it can't be all reptilian. That's the balance. And then all points in between. And that's why humans are so amazing, because we have little bits and pieces of the universe out there within us to help us balance out the universe, whether it's the microbiome or the universe like Andromeda and all the different galaxies that are out there. And then, yes, Star Trek and Star Wars and all these different movies from the 1960s, 1970s, 1950s, the Twilight Zone, all of those are based upon some kind of reality. I love the old Twilight Zone and the new Twilight Zone back in the 80s. Right? So your brain and your pineal gland is the access to the dimensions that everyone's trying to tap into, whether it's with alcohol, drugs, sex, psychedelics. I mean, yeah. And when you do that on this earth and you haven't earned those entrances into those different dimensions, it depletes you. So why not just earn your way into these different dimensions and be a balanced person here on earth and deal with your evolution, face your demons and fight them. But don't kill them. Just understand that you're not going to allow them to control your existence. And they can go and find somebody else to go in, or find something else to go in and whatever. But here's the thing. Anyone that's attracted to you, they have their own journey. The reason why they're attracted to you, whether it's a troll, whether it's, a fan, all trolls are fans and all fans are trolls in a lot of ways when you think about it, right? It's because they know you have something credible to say and they're working it out within themselves. Because I have people that love me but still have their own battles. And I have people that say they hate me and they're still hanging out. You look at my business page. I'm watching this one troll who's been around for a while, who actually makes a point. Like, I am her destination every Sunday. I am her destination to go and do an angry face or a laughing face. I actually do feel honored. I look forward to seeing that. When I don't see that, I'm like, okay, is she okay? Is she working, or what does she do in her times in between Sundays? And so so in a lot of ways, I am getting through. Whether or not you actually take the information is completely up to you. But I am getting through, and my information is now in your DNA. Now it's up to you to allow it to be used, or you may have to start over again. Some of you, because you pulled the trigger too late. And that also is going to happen, where you love my information, but you pull the trigger too late, and now you're in hospice, And it's just too hard for you to really get that support system going because you're already on a strict diet. You have a nursemaid who is not going to make the jelly juice for you. And if they do, they won't recommend it. And then you have someone that has a power of attorney over you and your lifestyle, and they won't let you do the jelly juice. And so it's too late for you. You are now going to be stuck to going into the Earth's waiting room called the universe. And you had all this time prior to being someone who has to have a power of attorney over you and your medical stuff. So that's going to happen to some of you as well. And so no matter what, I just hope that all of you figure it out before you now have to watch everyone as if you're watching life pass you by. Because that's what's going to happen when you go to another dimension called the spirit realm on a continuous basis. When your meat suit is gone, you'll be left watching everyone else experience life, experience feeling, touching, tasting, all the five senses. And you only get to experience just the feeling and the seeing, but you won't be able to taste. Well, yes, you won't even feel really. You'll be stuck in the same chemistry that you left Earth with. But you might be a piece of the puzzle in somebody else if you have that persona. So yeah, so the different dimensions is being able to use all of your brain, conjoining both worlds. How will you know if you use 100% of your brain? Well, the only way you can know is if someone actually does a test. Hey, John, everybody. If someone does a test and puts all those little contraption nodes on your head, and then they go and trigger the brain, the neurological brain firing, and they can see. They did that with Einstein. They tested his brain. They looked at his brain to see how much it was being used. But he's also on the decline too. Could he have used more if he actually stayed alive? Man, if Einstein stayed alive indefinitely, what would he be today? And so this is what I offer. You all have access to be Einstein. Though, yes, you're not going to be inventing E equals MC squared, but there's a lot more out there that people can invent if they're able to get access to that part of their brain, all parts of their brain. But that takes getting through your physical symptoms. That takes getting through your predispositions. Will your kids have access to that? They got to deal with not only your predisposition that you gave to them, but also the new ones that they're going to acquire when they're going through their own growing up phase. Okay, so kids can get access to that, but it does take, yes, fostering everything. It's like nursing your dog back into getting all that crap out of the dog system from prior genetic years, as well as whatever they went through. It's not easy getting people up to your par of evolution. So sometimes it's easier to watch somebody decline because at least they know and expect to decline and they can plateau for a while. But remember, you don't know when the next rung down is going to happen. And so when somebody is not on J-juice and they experience a heart attack, stroke, an aneurysm, any kind of significant event that they're not prepared for, that's the next rung down, a de-evolution into another dimension. And then they got to go experience that again to get to another dimension up. So, but yeah, I don't do drugs. I don't really drink alcohol. I smoke a cigarette. I smoke about 2 cigarettes a day. I enjoy it. I chew gum because I hate the taste of cigarettes, but I love how it feels. I love how it feels. Do I have to smoke? I don't always want to smoke, but for some reason, it gives me just that creative energy that I really like. And it's just nice that I am at one with the universe, that I am causing growth potential in my lungs. Because yes, if you have predispositions, cigarettes will cause cancer with those who have very weak lung activity. But those with strong lung activity, it will cause more evolution. And yeah, who knows what's next? So yeah, smoking doesn't have to be horrible. It's only horrible for those that are at a deficit. But why would someone want to smoke? It's because it's like traveling. It's like in a different dimension. But it's not taking something like a pharmaceutical grade drug. I mean, any kind of like drinking coffee, adrenaline, another dimension, waking up. there's different levels of feeling dimensions. I don't really feel the need to smoke pot. I don't feel the need to drink alcohol, really. I really don't. And so my daily existence is really just the food, drinking coffee, maybe 2 cigarettes, typing, getting on Facebook, watching some Netflix, make sure my dog is okay, make sure my husband is fed. When my book is done, will my life change? Oh, it will. It will. I don't even know what's going to be like because only thing I've been doing is Facebook Live and the book and my dog and just doing the minimal I can to keep the house okay. Oh, the house needs to be really deep cleaned, yes. It's not horrible, but I do maintain a certain level of okayness. But no, I'm not the happy housewife, not in the least. As far as the homemaker, no. I should probably invest in someone that does deep cleaning. But anyways, enough of that. I've never been like super anal about that stuff. My husband is. So anyways, you guys have a good day, but I wanted to give you that idea about different dimensions, the brain, and using percentage of your brain and then getting access to that. Okay, bye.